Hey gentlemen, this is another over-the-road trucking versus oil field video. In the last one, when I talked about how much more money we make in this business compared to over the road, I did forget to mention about all the empty miles you'll be hauling. Maybe I mentioned it, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. All the miles that you're going to be hauling that are empty compared to over the road. Over the road, if you're getting it, you're pretty much loaded the whole time, front and back, side to side. You're just to somewhere, back from somewhere, that's it. Out here, about half the time you will not be loaded. And remember I said about 120 miles a day on average. If it's really, really sweet and you're really lucky, maybe 10 or 20 miles a day, compared to 600 miles a day for over-the-road trucking if you're really, really killing it, okay? Now remember, I'm only making these videos because I believe this is not only the best form of trucking, but the easiest form of trucking, the easiest get into, the easiest way to break out from CDL and you name it. This is the easiest way to especially become an owner operator, even as a company driver, and the most money for your efforts in the trucking business. Anyways, let's get to it. So another thing that makes oilfield trucking way greater than over the road, and this is probably the biggest thing, it's not just the money. The money's great, guys. The money's outstanding. Thank goodness somewhere in the transport business we get paid for our efforts. But what makes it truly outstanding is this next topic. We're going to talk about regulations. Out here in North Dakota, it is way less regulated. And honestly, there's a reason why I've got all this on, is because some of these things are just things that they want to keep under the rug. But I'm letting you know right now, North Dakota chose for way lighter regulatory requirements, all right? And there's a reason. If they fully required federal regulatory, federal requirements on every oil field truck out here, they would literally choke the oil field economy. And the oil field knows that. That's why it's so difficult in Texas. That's why it's so difficult in other oil fields, is because how much regulation that they have. But they still have their exemptions as well. All right, out here, I'm telling you, to have a trucking business and not have to have DOT, MC, authority, IFTA, all that is wild. Think about that. For all you guys over the road, on the highways, out here, we don't have to have DOT. We don't have to have MC numbers. We don't have to have any of that. The main reason is because the oil field fluid that we're hauling is all inside the state. It's not interstate commerce. For all you newcomers coming out here, most people have to have, because they're going throughout different states and all that. And yes, oil haulers, which we don't do, we're water hauling, it's way different. Oil haulers do have to have DOT. They do have to have the MC. They have to have the authority. They have to have the MTA. Because even though they're within the state, their commodity is getting transported elsewhere. Unless they had some type of refinery up here, and I don't think they do, they have to have that. And you got to think, guys, that's about what, $25,000 a year off the bill? Yeah, if you've been in business for 10 years, you get it pretty cheap or whatever. But for you new guys coming in to change your life, and you want to own a trucking company or whatever it is, I'm telling you, this is the place you come to. Before you go over the road, at least try this out. Because this place almost has fucking training wheels for you. No DOT, no MC, no authority. I have been running for years out here without any of it. Now, yes, there's some companies to lease onto out here that are going to require that. But for any of you guys that are trying to go direct with the oil companies and you're trying to cut out any middleman whatsoever, that 15%, 10%, whatever it is, they don't even ask for DOT. They don't ask for those numbers. And yes, some of you guys that are going to get out here, you're going to call the insurance companies and you're going to say, hey, I want to get insurance, I want to get this and that, I want to get this type of coverage and this type of umbrella and yada yada, and they're going to ask you, oh, well, what's your DOT, MC, and authority number? And you just let them know, listen, I'm going to be just inside the state of North Dakota within a 150-mile radius. I don't need any of that. I don't need DOT. I don't need any of that to run this trucking company. I just need insurance. And you'll see, they're going to say, that doesn't make sense. Somebody might give you backlash. No, you need to check with your higher up. I'm telling you, it's acceptable. A lot of those insurance company people out there on the phone, they've never even heard of that. It's just not normal. So I'm just letting you guys know, I'm telling you, It is a fact that North Dakota chose for lighter regulatory requirements. That is just what it is. And then that brings me to my next thing. Not only do you save money on that, all right, not having DOT MC authority, not having to report to IFTA of how many miles you did and to be able to pay more taxes on the fuel and all that, yada, yada, yada. It's basically, all that is basically probation to find out how much money are you making and how can they screw you. Let's just be honest, all right? And you basically get to push down your skirt and they don't have to look up it anymore. I've been out here for years. I know guys that have been out here for over a decade. They've never had to have it. So you're basically exempt from the probation. But that brings me to my next point. All right, no electronic logs. Do you know how much of a pain in the ass it is to have electronic logs? For you guys that are just coming into the CDL world and just coming into the transport business, you know, that's something, if you go straight to the oil field, you're not going to have to deal with. But a lot of loads need that extra couple of hours. They need that 16, that 18 hours out of you, like back 30, 40 years ago. These electronic logs literally just decimated the country. Now, yes, there's a lot of people that shouldn't have been driving and shouldn't have been doing those hours, and they've taken advantage and they're doing drugs, and there's a reason why they're there. And it's just like police officers. Some of us don't like them, but there's a reason why they're there, and they do keep the peace and they do keep the structure, and that's very, very needed for some. Out here, you don't have to have electronic logs. And whenever you get stopped by a DOT officer out here, I've been stopped twice by a DOT officer out here, and they've asked me, you know, where are your logs? And I simply just tell them, I run within 150 miles. I do 14-hour shifts, and I always park right back where I started for my reporting station. It's very simple. Even though that's not true, they can't prove that. And then, you know, what the deal is with North Dakota and why they allow that to be acceptable is because we're under this local driver exemption, all right? And basically, our invoices are recorded timestamps, if you would. You know, what I'm turning in, these oil field companies don't want to see 18 hours and things like that. And I'm going to be showing you guys basically how to avoid that as well. But like I said, when you turn in 14-hour tickets for the day, then that is basically a timestamp. And like I said, they don't know where you're parking, whether you're parking at the Loves or the TA or where you're docking that, but that's why we don't have to have ELDs or we don't have to have even logbooks. It is wild. Anybody over the road has to have the frickin' thing, the computer into the truck, and it shuts it down after. That's why we are able to do so well out here. Not only do we get paid more, not only do we have less expenses, fuel, DOT costs, things like that, but also we're able to run a few extra hours. We're able to 24 it, if you would. You know how many times I've done 24-hour shifts out there? I can't even count anymore. That was back when I was first starting. Now, you know, I have a pretty awesome fleet of trucks. You know, I have a little over 15 trucks out in the field. I do very well, but same thing with them. I don't have to record them like you know, the IRS isn't up my back with DOT knocking on the door. As soon as I get paid, they all start taking the money from me. It's not like that out here. And with all that, with the lighter regulatory, you also only need once a year DOT inspections. And for a lot of you over the road drivers, you know that every time you go into weigh stations and things like that, they're watching everything. You got a cracked mirror, pay for it. You got a cracked fender, pay for it. You got airlines that are touching each other, get into the mechanic shop, pay for it. Your tires are a little bit thinner than they should be, but we know you could operate for another couple months like that, but fuck you, pay for it. Out here, you don't have that. Yes, there are DOT officers out here, and they will come and try to find you and be RoboCop and things like that, but they do overlook a lot of things. I've been out here for several years. I've never had the Class 1 or any DOT inspection at all. The whole time. I've been pulled over 3 times, 3, maybe 4. 4 times and never had a true DOT inspection. They've seen some stuff and I'm like, hey, you know, you should get that fixed. But the thing is a cracked mirror isn't gonna, you know, kill a family. A cracked fender or airlines that are, there's certain things. Yes, I do agree with regulations 100%. There's too many people out here that are willing to allow the wheels to fall off, and I think that's absolutely disgraceful. And there is families on the roads, and we have to be, with our own discretion, look at things and check everything constantly to make sure that we're not going to kill somebody because of our own ignorance. Don't get me twisted on thinking that it's okay to drive a giant Band-Aid down the road. Absolutely not. But there's some things that just don't make sense to fix because it's not worth it. And that saves you thousands at the end of the year compared to over-the-road trucking. And that brings me to my next thing, okay? No emission restrictions. Out here, we're literally like 10 miles from the reservation in like both directions in a sense. Good luck making those guys over there fix all their equipment and all these regulations and all these. Good luck. All the farmers around here, they love their 1990s. Good luck pushing that on them. Like I said, there's no emission restrictions, and that brings me to a huge point coming up. Not only how much death costs. All right, you guys know over the road, and for your guys that are just getting into the space, death is just, you know, one of those things that you have to put in diesels these days because they're making it to where I think California passed a law that you're not allowed to have trucks in a later year of 2015 or something. Out here, I mean, I still have a 1990s truck out here. It's unbelievable. I still have pre-emission trucks, and I have trucks that are 2015 with no DEF. You know, I deleted them. And why that makes such a big difference is it's cheaper because you don't have another piece of fluid that you have to refill and yada yada yada. But DEF also causes major internal engine issues in the future. Okay, those are costs that you don't see for another 6-7 years. But also in the wintertime, good luck. Out there over the road drivers, you got regen systems, and when you're sitting there idling at the truck stop, you've got crystallization in the system. DEF is bullshit. We don't have to deal with it out here. And we have no emission restrictions. And you know what else that means? You don't have to go buy a $180,000, $250,000 truck to be able to skate through the probation of DOT, the DOT officers, all that shit. You don't have to do that. We can literally, that's why when I say you can buy $10,000 trucks out here and you can make $40,000 plus out here, it's because of shit like this. Not only the money, but now I'm telling you that this is a flexible state on regulatories. That is insane, guys. All right, for all you guys that aren't over the road and aren't in the transport business, you don't understand. I can't even believe it. Nobody talks about it. I don't get it. It is wild. I've already talked to you about how you are saving like 30, 40 fucking grand a year. And we're going to dive even deeper.